What's going on, guys? Twig and Timber Outdoors here. We've talked about how we like to keep things simple. Simplicity is great. But I want to show you guys some of the things that I truly think are maybe like, you've already got your rig and your kit and everything's good to go. You can now fish. Well, maybe it's a good time to think about some things that aren't quite necessities, but are really nice to have. And so these are also things that make great gifts for holiday time for the anglers that are just starting out in your life, or things you can ask others if they hound you for a list for a holiday or for, whatever. This is a great maybe focal point to give them that isn't too expensive. None of the things I'm about to show you guys right now are very expensive, and that's kind of, again, following the theme for what we like to do here on Twig and Timber Outdoors. Alright, so like I said, things don't have to be that expensive. Now, one of the things that I find very useful, and it's very inexpensive whenever you're out in the field, and so this is something that you can always ask for because, well, relatively speaking, people don't like to spend a ton of money on gifts that, especially when you're just starting to learn to do something. So the first thing I like to always ask for, or to purchase for myself, apart from your basic kit and flies and things to keep with you, just to get yourself on the water, is some form of knife. And this is actually a knife that fits into MOLLE systems, but it can also slip easily, because it's fairly small, into your packs or your pockets or whatever. And no specific knife I'm talking about here. This happens to be a Smith & Wesson, but realistically, any knife that, when you're in a pinch or you need to get, through something, or in case of emergency, you have a knife that is sharp, durable, and fits in small places. So a knife is always a good thing to ask for, and this one right here I picked up for, less than $20. You can even realistically pick up knockoffs and things for way cheaper, like almost $1. Next thing I'd always consider picking up would be, here's my leader wallet, quite literally, a wallet, quite literally. And your leader wallet is a good place to keep things like I have different fluoro, monofilament, other leaders for bigger bugs, KASTKING, Umpqua, and also the fly crate all create great leaders. But either a leader wallet itself, this happens to be one that I use very frequently, and it's not anything special, but they make special leader wallets, and those can range anywhere from $5 to $50, but you don't have to go crazy. Then the leaders themselves are also something very nice to ask for. Why? Because, well, if you're someone like me, I'm very thick, finicky, and I also very picky about my leaders, but I also am fairly tight with my wallet, no pun intended. And so asking for additional leaders themselves can save you a couple bucks, especially considering that tapered leaders can be very expensive in the long run. Next is an inexpensive fly box. So this right here happens to be an MFC fly box. It's seen better days, and this is my big bug box. So I have like stimulators and other foam hoppers and things in here. But upgrading from whatever you're using before, just even if it's just the little plastic cups and things that you buy the flies in, up to an actual foam slitted waterproof fly box is nice. And these don't have to cost a lot either. They can be anywhere from $3 to $15, depending. But now obviously I fish with a couple different ones. I actually fish with Epic Creek boxes. I really like them a lot. The system itself is really cool, but we'll say, you've seen that in different videos. But the cheap fly box, upgrading from whatever, an Altoids tin or whatever to a fly box, one, it's fun because, it's just, this is what fly fishing sometimes is about, but at the same time, it helps you organize and keep yourself organized while you're on the water, but also when you get home. And also it's nice that whenever you fish the flies, you don't have to dig for them. You can just dry them by letting them sit out and about like that. So a nice resealable fly box is a nice little present to yourself after you have already expanded into wanting to pursue the sport. Next, we have What's wrong with the little tippet tee? And what do you use this for? Well, your spool's a tippet that oftentimes I tell you is one of the crucial important things you'll need. You can stack these on the tippet tee and keep them on whatever you're wearing that day. Because typically the little tippet tee comes with a little carabiner on there, or a little push pin, like a pin carabiner, and it allows you just to pull tippet from it, and it keeps it organized. You can see the tippet when you use it. And this right here it can be $1, it can be 50 cents, it can be $3, $10, whatever company charges you more than $10, unless it's a very unique and specialized piece, is ripping you off. But a tippet tee. Oftentimes when you're buying inexpensive fly lines, you'll probably need leader loops. Now these are really inexpensive, and these ones you can actually find at Walmart. They're Cortland, and they work just fine. They come with a little heat shrink wrap to use on top of your, you basically thread your non-welded loop line in there, you fit the fitting over and you warm it up and you're good to go. It's fairly easy, and they'll cover fly lines. Like this one example is a 2 to 7 weight, and the actual braided part itself is 30 pounds. So, you know, are they the best? No. Would a nail knot, because I'm going to catch hate, a nail knot will do probably better? Sure. This is easy, and I've never had one fail on me. Typically, the tippet will break before this does. Really inexpensive. You know, you can definitely pull hooks out of fish, no problem, by hand, but having a decent forceps or, you know, pliers, if you will, upgrading from pliers to an actual dedicated forceps is really nice. Like this one, for example, is smooth all the way. Sometimes they'll have shears in them. This one right here clips nicely, and by second click, it really, you can use it to mash barbs, and the third one releases it. Another thing is this one's really good. It helps tie certain knots as well. So, you know, just nothing crazy, but it's sometimes really nice to have these. What's nice about these is they actually clip onto, you can clip them onto clothing or your pack or whatever. But, you know, a good set of forceps, even an inexpensive forceps itself, is better sometimes than pliers, especially considering that when you're fishing for brook trout or other smaller fish, getting in there to release the fish's, you know, hook from the fish is sometimes a matter of life and death for that animal. So doing it quickly and efficiently, one, it's more humane, but two, you know, we preach catch and release a lot here, not for any other reason, but that I think it's ethical. But having a good forceps can help do that. Shameless plug, but for $5, one of the best investments you can probably make is educating yourself on fishing. And here's my book right here, Beyond the Cane, and links will be in the description for both this and my anecdotal fishing and hunting tales book, the first one I ever wrote. This one is Beyond the Cane, Fly Fishing Tales of Tales, and How to Begin Fly Fishing. It's a no-nonsense book with illustrations and everything from stories to an entertaining way to basically teach you how to fly fish from the bare bones all the way up to the intermediate level. And it's $5. So is my other book, and I'll put the links in the description. Pick yourself up a copy because, you know, I spent a long time on this. And is it perfect? No, but it's no nonsense. It gets the job done, and it helps support the channel. Now, I know that Lucky Tackle Box and the Fly Crate are both sponsors. What I like about these is that for $25 or anywhere from $10 to $25 a month, not only do you get gear, flies, and things, but you also get knowledge. And so, for example, I write a ton for Fish Hound Magazine, and these always come in the Lucky Tackle Boxes. I also create a podcast and a bunch of content for the Fly Crate. And so every month you'll receive not only the stuff that's in the boxes, but in addition, you'll get information that doesn't always make it to the YouTube videos that I create for these guys. So, or on my channel alone. I do a lot of writing, and so one of the things is, you know, investing in either the book or Lucky Tackle Box or the Fly Crate is a great investment into your understanding and knowledge of fly fishing and for different species and the sport itself. Again, you don't need one, but a net can be a nice companion and make you also feel more like a fly fisher yourself in general. Now, this one right here happens to be less than 20 bucks. Most solid nets, realistically, unless you're buying like a net that you can pass down, like a heritage net from Bitterroot or special material like a fish pond, Nomad, then really nice wooden nets with rubber netting, please rubber netting, can be had for anywhere from $10 to $30. And so what I like about them is you can fashion them from the bottom or from the top, and with some magnetic carabiners, and you just pull it off, and this attaches to the next item I want to talk about is a chest pack. Now this one happens to be an Allen Micro Creek Bear, and this is $20. Especially, I mean, if you follow the links and things underneath this video, you can find that these things are really inexpensive. And this covers or carries everything I really need. You know, I have a nice pair of nippers, which didn't make this video, but nippers themselves you can find for a couple dollars. They're much handier and more efficient than toenail clippers, but you can get away with toenail clippers. You can find a decent pair of nippers realistically for the same price as toenail clippers. So these happen to be Sims. I got them in a Lucky Tackle box. I like them, but I've also received Umpqua ones. I didn't get this Lucky Tackle box. I can't remember where I got these, but the Umpqua ones I think I like a lot better, and they're even cheaper. These right here, these little zip pulls are really cheap too. I got them, they're like $3 a piece maybe. They might be a little cheaper. Here's a tippet tee like I was telling you about before, and these are all these different spools of tippet. Right here is a nice little bottle of dry fly floatant. That's another really good gift for somebody, or something to pick up yourself if you're fishing a lot of dries. But if you're nymphing, then there's really no point. One of the things I also like to talk about is, we've covered different float strike indicators before, but if you're fishing a lot of streamers for bass or for whatever, having some finger slips or finger protectors, whether it be the full finger or just a knuckle, are really convenient and nice, because if you're fishing all day, those fingers and the creases will get raw. The next thing I would probably suggest, after you fish for a little while, you can really start to feel the difference, especially Euro nymphing and things, would be to pick up some micro shot. This is Umpqua, and it's measured in grains. It's hard to find. I think Gremlin might make a similar product, but micro shot really makes a difference in feeling bottom and getting the right depth. The majority of nymphing realistically isn't finding the right fly, it's finding the right depth. And so micro shot, by comparison to, for example, your normal split shot, you can get much smaller weights and get much more finite. And it does cost a little more, but definitely changed my nymphing game. So I would suggest micro shot as another thing to potentially pick up. And the last thing I want to talk about actually isn't something I have with me today here, but I would suggest, looking into a membership into Trout Unlimited, or another, it could be the Tarpon Trust, any of those organizations, the nonprofits that really do a good job at protecting the water sources and the fisheries that you hold dear to your heart. So it's usually something fairly inexpensive. I actually give talks at these different events, and it's an educational thing that is really beneficial to our fishing community. Hopefully you guys liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the other videos in the playlists. Make sure you give those thumbs up. Smash the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. And remember, guys, as always, catch you guys on the flip side. Tight lines, and we're out.